This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Marion County Commission meeting here, April 12th, 12:30. Get started here. Tina, I guess we'll let you take over.
Okay.
Administrative.
I think you got public comment.
I put that up there. I just put the same text that I showed you
Yes.
in here
Oh, okay.
into the chat bubble so people can see that when they join.
So they know what to do. That's
Mhm.
good.
Okay, let's see. On the table in front of you, you have a copy of the request for bids that are request for proposals that I sent out. So those went out, I believe on Friday for some of the exterior maintenance and repairs of the courthouse here. And we did send those to several contractors that I sent them to the list of contractors that were provided by our architect in 2019 that do this type of work. And we also posted it on the website.
Okay.
Or if it wasn't done Friday, it'll be done today, but it will be on our website.
Is there anything you'd like to have anybody to help you with this, Tina? I mean,
When we get, if whatever bids back, I would really like to be able to have authorization to have our architect that we used for the windows to just review it and make sure everything looks appropriate and that the specs and the products that the contractors are submitting are appropriate for a building.
okay. So you'll come to us at that time, or should we?
If you want to go ahead and approve that now, that's great, but, or if you would rather, I can wait till we have all the proposals
Yeah,
back.
do that, and then let's ask and see.
Okay.
And see what we can go then.
Yep,
Is that all right with the commission? Very well. Okay.
Thank you, Tina, for doing that.
Yeah.
you're welcome. It's been on my list for quite a while, but I finally was able to catch up enough to have the time to do it, so I was really happy to get those out.
Thank you.
Just wanted to let you know that our website has transitioned, and so that when you go to marioncoks.net, you should see the new website. We still have a lot of editing to do and just checking things out. Some things were lost in the transition and some things are working and some things aren't. And so with the new design, it's quite a bit cleaner and it's a lot easier to find information generally. And if things are wrong, it's going to stick out because it's a different way of looking at it. So, but we're just in the process of being able to get in there and start addressing some of those things. Okay. And then in your packet, you had a memo and invoice from Susan Robson, just finalizing the tax sale, and so that was in there for your information.
On the tax sale, she seemed to be to contract. We have no contract with her for that, do we?
We do for the one that was done, yes.
For the one that was done, yes. But if for every sale that goes on, why there could be a new contract or something like that brought up. I think she's changing her. The way I read it, she's changing her choice of costs that are changing.
Yeah, I think she reduced it.
Yeah, a little bit there on some of that. So anyway, just keep that in mind. As each tax sale is a different entity each time.
I'll have to look back on the motion of what
Okay.
motion you made. That brings up another point. You know, I had let you know a couple weeks ago, I think I emailed you all that Brad's contract for county councilor was actually through the end of March. So as of right now, you know, you haven't taken any official action to extend that or to do anything with that. But generally it's a 1 year from April 1 to March 31st. So.
Was it with that email? I missed it. I guess. Did you put all litigation, you know, the contract there for us to look at?
I don't remember exactly what I
Okay.
said, yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
It was just a heads up. Okay. We do have,
Should watch it.
sorry, you can pass that
Yep.
over to the chair. We do have some change orders. I did not have those in the packet, but they were prepared this morning, so they're in this green folder here.
Want to do the change orders first then?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
It's rocky. Like the ditch, but I'm gonna go and and stuff like that. Yeah, feeds into the river.
This space here.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, we talk about it. We need to use it, you know, that's from the Mercury and Rocky Head. We're drinking coffee out there.
Level table.
I guess they get sit down fees.
How far can a change order go back to that?
There's not necessarily an absolute limit unless it's statutory.
That's wondering if it's not.
It's basically you're ratifying.
Yeah.
Something that's been done. What could be done. That's sure. Agreed.
Good, I don't know, I'm sticky on it. Take that.
Thank you.
You don't have to.
I have the minutes of April 5th.
Okay.
Light reading.
Oh, nice. Does anybody have any objections to the minutes of April 5th?
Motion to approve the minutes.
April 5th. Okay, I have a motion by Jonah to accept the minutes of April 5th.
Second.
Second by Kent Becker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. 5-0.
Okay, and Randy, I'm gonna have to print those off and get them to you. Apparently I didn't get that done.
Okay,
So
we
I'll
can
do
handle
that in a
that.
little bit.
Okay.
Okay. There was quite a bit in there this time. We do have a couple of early checks, or several, for approval, and the reports were in your packet.
Yes.
Before we approve the one for Road and Bridge, we have the second pay request for Nelson Fowles, and this was on that emergency, the stream bank project.
Yes.
And so we need to have you go ahead and approve the pay estimate number 2 in the amount of $36,110. And that then is also included in the payables. And then also there was another small invoice for them for $425 for hauling rock. That's because Road and Bridge was too busy to do that at the time. So that is a separate invoice above and beyond the contract. So we would need to approve that as well for this same project.
Okay, so,
I've got that right here.
Make a motion to approve pay estimate number 2 for Nelson Fowles for $36,110.
okay, have a motion by Jonah, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Unanimous. $36,110 even.
Okay? And
That's a
then-
second. Then you need one for the $425?
Yes.
I make that motion to have the payment of $425 to pay Nelson Fowles that for rock hauling.
That's second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay. So that's part of what's in your payables this time. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure to get that approved before you approve the payables.
What's the 1,050 then?
That was
That's
part
part
of,
of the-
that was part of what was
Okay.
there already. That's for the seeding. That was the portion that hadn't been completed as of the last time.
Anybody wants to see the total on that deal? Okay.
It was in the packet,
It was
so
in the
you should
packet.
have, yeah. Okay, so then we have the
Road and Bridge,
payables here.
ambulance. Park.
And if you all have any questions or need me to pull any of those vouchers, I'd be glad to do that for you.
Can we just approve the lump sum?
Yes, you can.
I'll make a motion to approve the payables in the amount of $73,593.43.
Second.
Okay. That, we've already approved the Nelson Fowles.
You approved paying it, but not the checks.
Okay.
And so this is
All
the
right.
checks, yeah.
I would accept that. Motion by Kent, second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you. Okay.
Vote on it 2 times.
Yeah, sorry about that. I know, usually we would have had, I may have had that second pay estimate like a week before, and then we would have paid it the next time, but we kind of all got it all at once this time. Okay. What you have on the table there, I think I've told most of you, but just the township and special districts and cemetery annual reports, just for your review. You don't have to do anything, but that way you at least know.
I've got a question on that. Do they hold that money in their checking account or?
Yeah, they're completely separate from us.
Okay.
They have their own taxing entities. The treasurer collects and distributes their taxes.
Okay.
And most of those districts have their own accounts, their own checking accounts, their own finances, and they're completely separate. A couple of them we actually do the bookkeeping for. But it's still their own money, their own authority. Okay, is that,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a lot of money sitting there doing nothing,
Well, some
Yeah.
of it is, I mean, a lot of the townships pay for fire protection, some pay for cemetery upkeep. those are the main things that the townships pay for. And then some of the other special districts, you know, they have their own purpose, so. I do have a COVID update from Deidre.
Okay.
Okay, she says as of 7:30 this morning, we're at 654 positive confirmed PCR cases, 374 probable, 2 active, 0 hospitalizations, and 24 vital statistics confirmed deaths. Marion County is in the yellow with a 14-day positivity rate through April 3rd at 6.8%. Last week's vaccination clinics, Tuesday, April 6th at the Lake Hall, 36 Moderna prime doses and 6 booster doses were administered. Wednesday, April 7th, at Tabor, there were 406 boosters and 3 prime doses administered. Thursday, April 8th at the Lake, there were 69 Johnson & Johnson administered. Saturday, there were 65 Johnson & Johnson administered at Tabor. Moderna prime doses will be administered every Tuesday through April from 9 to 11 at the Marion County Lake Hall, with boosters given Tuesdays in May. Individuals can sign up for the clinics through the link posted on the Marion County website, and the consents can also be obtained through the website. Prime doses administered through the Marion County Health Department are as follows: Moderna 1,949, Pfizer 102, and Johnson & Johnson 314. Vaccine will continue to be distributed through the Health Department to St. Luke, Hillsborough Community Hospital, and the Hillsborough Hometown Pharmacy as they request. So that's what I have about that.
Besides that, then we still, the health department will still give them too.
Yes. I do have a few salary sheets.
Okay, this from the health department, Mary Johnson, new health department office assistant at $2,194 a month. Transfer station, Jared Schaefer's.
One goes in, one comes out.
From 2319 to 2362, this is a 6-month raise as equipment operator 1. Road and Bridge gravel, Robert Chippy, this is 2008-14 to 2008-30. This is a 20-year raise as equipment operator 2.
Tina, how soon were we expecting that pay plan update?
Next week, I believe. I believe Melina has one more meeting with the department this week, and she should have information for you here pretty quick. Thank you. And then the only other 2 things that I have are their personnel matters. So I have an approval of a shared leave request and an FMLA approval. And so those we would need an executive session for later so that I can give you the details of those.
Okay.
And that both of those employees are eligible. And then also I have the rest of the evaluations for the departments that you hadn't received before, and that's for your review. And that's what this 145 session is on here for. So I'm perfectly great if you want to just wait and do both of those at the end.
Okay.
But I feel like rather than just have you approve, I think that there's some details on some of those you might need to know about, so. So that's all I have.
We'll slip that in there and then right before we go into evaluations.
Okay.
Executive session for FMLA.
FMLA, and what was the other?
And shared leave.
Sure.
Sure.
So both of those could be under one topic of leave requests. Okay, that's all I have on administrative.
We'll move to the agenda. Road and Bridge. And he's sitting out there waiting on us.
Guess that's me.
Can you hear out there on that TV real good?
I just said I was listening to you guys.
I didn't know whether you could hear out there that far.
Yeah, I don't know what the TV's going on, so. All right, I heard you approve the payment to Nelson Fowles, so that was good. A couple of updates as far as other projects. I just got a call this morning, the Eagle Bridge replacement on 230th and Eagle. They just sent in field check plans to KDOT, so probably field check somewhere June-ish. They come back with, I want to say it's almost 100-foot long structure, so it's considerably longer than what's there now. We'll have some right-of-way purchase, stuff like that, but pretty much expected with that bridge. So there's more chances than not we'll probably let it this fall to be built this winter. It's kind of what we're looking at, so. But anyway, I got a follow-up meeting with FEMA tomorrow morning. I think she's got a few small little items, and they need a little bit more information. Obviously, when it comes time to pushing that down the road, we're doing what we can, so.
Regarding
These,
2019.
what's that?
Regarding 2019.
Yes, yeah. We've submitted a whole bunch. I think that was back in, what, February we submitted that to her, so we gave her a lot of information. The spill buckets for the new fuel pumps have been put in. They were poured concrete as of Friday. I did not receive an update as of when the pumps are coming yet, but that should be coming. Had a request from Asphalt Paving and Maintenance as far as the rock crushing. They have had a tremendous trouble with weather, both rain and cold, breakdowns and everything else. I know from, I can just see the problems that he's had. He's asked for special consideration to pay for what he's got done so far, just to help with a little bit of the cash flow. This is not required because we didn't have any bonds or anything for that, but he was asking for 5,000 tons at his contract price would be $25,500. Now, if the commission doesn't want to do that, he understands that too. So just throwing that out there.
Give me a rundown of what was expected to do.
Well, the original plan was to get all this stuff done and crushed by April 1st. Obviously, we went past that. I honestly didn't think that it was gonna be a problem getting it done by then, but like I said, I hate to think, he's probably lost a month just in downtime. He lost a clutch pack, had to go to Wisconsin for it. I mean, it's one of those things, generators, things like that. It's part of doing business, but you know, that's the way it goes. But again, he just asked. If the commission doesn't want to, he totally understands because it wasn't set up that way.
What percentage has he completed?
Well, we originally had planned about 40,000 tons, and he's got a little over 5 done. So you know, he comes right out and said, he goes, it's not as though I want to be sitting here. He says, I got places to go and everything else, but he's got all of his equipment sitting here, and you know, when he breaks down, it's, yeah, he like I said, he's upset, you know. Plus, he also does seal coating and stuff like that too. So he's trying to get on down the road. Fact is, he was going to work all weekend, and then he had a generator go down, and you know, it's just
Not having good luck.
Oh, it's absolutely terrible, you know. So,
In your opinion, does he have that much on the ground?
yes, I am confident that
Are you satisfied with the work he's doing?
yes.
It's a good product
Yep.
that's coming out.
Yep. That pile has been extremely dirty, a lot dirtier than what we expected it to be, but that's what we get. But We're still getting good quality out of it and everything else. That's not a problem. It's just that, it's just unbelievable, you know, so.
So is he requesting as a percentage of what he has completed?
Well,
that
that was-
dollar amount?
Well, that was, that's based on what we're, and actually he's got more than that because he's ran everything over a scale belt except for the material that's going to KDOT, which we haven't even measured. And I'm guessing we've probably got another 1,500 tons of that on the ground also, and he doesn't want any payment for that. It's just the stuff that he's ran across the scale, so.
Any further
You don't
thoughts?
have any issues with him?
I honestly, I mean, I said personally, I feel sorry for him because man, those breakdowns are just killing him. He's got, it's not as though he's trying to go somewhere because he's actually talked about going from that pile over to the Lincolnville pile just to see if that'd make a difference. But anytime he goes to move, you're probably talking a week just to get everything moved. It's just, yeah, I mean, he's had all sorts of problems. I mean, to lose the clutch pack and generator and another generator, and it's just
How much was it a ton again?
$5.10.
What is this costing us by not having this done? Because if you remember, somebody asked you point blank, will this be done by the date for
Yep.
Mr. Gary Deaconbrook?
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the things that does trouble me, is the fact is we're not getting that material because honestly, we like to use more of that material. He is very aware of that because every time I talk to him about it, now I don't know, maybe Brad could put in there, I don't know if there's anything that we could do other than breach a contract, but I mean, we really, I don't know if we want to go to that point. I mean, like I said, I think the guy has great intentions. He has just had terrible
Well, we had
problems.
another guy that had great intentions.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, we,
Here's the difference though, is this is usable. You can
Yes.
take it off the ground right now and go.
yeah.
Are you using it now? Or have you
We
pulled-
have used some, yes.
You have pulled
Yeah,
some
yeah.
product off.
And of course, we haven't given this guy anything up front either, so it's basically whatever he's done, that's what we're paying for.
So you're looking for 25.5.
Yep.
Is it costing us though with Mr. Deaconbrook? If we
Um,
don't get it done by a certain time?
Well,
That's a lease.
I talked with Gary vaguely last week. I did not realize that he had turned in a, basically request for payment, because what we were going to do was push for the, in-kind material. And that's what Gary was worried about, was that there's not gonna be enough material, or not gonna be material for him to use. I think the material's gonna be there, we just don't have it ready yet. But I haven't followed up with Gary on that, but that's just what happened. But to be honest with you, KDOT, from what I understand, is going to let the final portion November of this year. So my thought was if we could get all this stuff crushed and moved or stockpiled somewhere else, whatever the case may be, that we could maybe, if they got this project done early enough next year, that we could still store it in that location and then either get it done by the time that the lease is up or whatever the case may be. So
How many acres was it?
10.
Just so you're aware that Mr. Deepenbrock did come in last week and brought an invoice for the full amount, his requested payment of the full amount.
What was it?
35,000. And I think that, and he has done the work on the road that was requested in the agreement, so I don't know. I think Bryce is gonna follow up with him, but he has asked for his money now.
Yeah.
So,
Now, something that he brought up too was, and I don't know how this would work, but he said, well, he'd like to have his money now, but if he wanted some of the material later on, could he in turn buy some of that back or buy it back? Now, I don't know how that comes into play when you have private individuals buying county material. So if you pay him the 35,000, then essentially that would be completion of that contract once the lease is up.
And how long is the lease?
Till July of next year. I don't know the specific date, but.
Can he start using that stuff then?
Well, I would say so. Like I said, this is the first I had heard anything about it since we talked last year, because we were expecting to have this
I mean,
material
if he
done.
wanted it in kind, then material out there, why don't they use it?
Well, again, that's what I wanted to follow up with him, you know, to discuss that, because he basically wanted to see the material that was gonna be coming out before he made that decision, and for some reason, he's, whatever.
Did he say that the material didn't?
There's not much material there. I mean, for what he's looking for in price, it'd be, what would we have to have, 5,000 tons in order for him to get what, to satisfy the lease. So,
7.
well, it just
No,
said that.
because I think that you agreed to pay 10,000 and then up to 25,000 in
Yes.
like
So
for
this,
the material.
so this amount so far, plus 10,000,
Right.
should satisfy the lease.
Yes, and that's what, and again, that's what,
So it really doesn't matter.
he did all
It's
the
the
work
same.
on this and stuff like that, yeah.
Where they pay it. We're gonna pay it somehow.
Well, yeah, and like I said, it's, but, you know, whether you want the, I mean, the cash is either going towards the payment of the crushing the rock or to payment to him, so either one.
Or both.
Well, right. But again,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's best if you meet with them, talk to them. You haven't had the chance to follow up with them.
Correct.
I don't know, Commission, we're getting a lot of people involved, and you're getting a lot of money involved. And now we've got the case of where they're having difficulties.
In
So-
hindsight, I probably should have had something in there with liquidated damages or something like that, and I guess,
Well,
That's-
there was a lot of questions, and the public said, well, that's a pretty expensive piece of ground to lease, so what do? Now, we're looking at another project coming up on us. And, you know, I mean,
now,
are you gonna triple your problems, or are you just gonna stay with it?
yeah.
I'm just putting it out here like it is, and
Now, something that I haven't discussed with yet, but there may be the alternative that since the KDOT mixing strip is right there at Lincolnville too, if we can get in and get the stuff that we have done now, done and out of there, maybe KDOT will allow us to stockpile there for a couple months as long as we were in crushing as soon as we could.
but it's a pretty big gamble with this company. I mean, they've
Well,
already proved to us that their equipment must have some problems.
And anybody you talk to says crushing concrete's extremely hard on equipment. There's no
I
doubt.
can understand
But
that.
yeah, but it has been, like I
That's
said.
their business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what he said too, is like, you know, man, he said, I'm just going out with all my money to fix things and, you know, so. But anyway, again, we didn't set it up that way, so.
And I'm not particularly against paying the gentleman a portion by any means, but yet, if he walks off tomorrow, I don't want to be in the hole.
No.
And so,
So if you're sure there's 5,000 tons on the ground, and he walks off tomorrow,
He's been paid for what he's done.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a progress payment, basically.
Now, again, if he was to walk off, we could at least come back and claim breach of contract for that. So we would have that at least against him, but we don't have the bonds and stuff, which, like I said, in
if
hindsight.
he walked off tomorrow, what kind of legal battle would it be in?
The usual.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have all in full standing to go ahead and declare the breach and pursue it that way, but, you know, here again, there's only so much we can do in terms of you're going after somebody without a steady and easy way to climb on them and get it.
Now,
Where was the second place bid per ton?
they're all the same.
They're all the same.
510 for everything.
So, no matter which company you went with.
No, I'm sorry. The 3 locations that he bid were all the same.
I was talking about.
A lot of the other bidders were, depending on the place, were a different price. And I think it was it $30,000 or $50,000 more for second bidder? I don't remember.
Overall.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything else that could go major wrong with this equipment, or
Oh, yeah.
does he have all the big stuff fixed?
Well, I mean, he has it fixed, but who knows?
Okay.
You know, one of the things was he had a belt tear because one of the bell bars went vertical on him, and when the belt was still turning, it just shredded it too. Now,
Yeah.
what's the chances of that?
And that belt's been there for 10 years probably.
Well, I don't know.
It could have been there for 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you can put a brand new belt in there.
Is he
but-
still working?
Yes. Well, I mean, he told me he was working all week, and I went up there this morning, and I said, didn't see much progress. He said, well, I had a generator go down, had to get some motor, and had to have a new injection pump, and he said John Deere didn't get it fixed, so, yeah, I don't think the guy's trying to go out of his way to do other things, because he's sitting there with quite a bit of equipment, and I know that some of those belts are rented, you know, so he's paying rent on them regardless of whether he's using two, so, you know, again, I don't, he's.
As long as we don't get into a negative position with him, I guess I don't have an issue.
As long as it has a problem helping me, that this, make sure, you know,
Yeah.
we got our money's worth now.
Yeah, and I'll definitely make sure of that. I mean, we're not gonna get upside down, because I don't wanna go that way, so. I was gonna ask you, Brad, would it be something to where if we get to the breach, whatever else, could we put a mechanic's lien on the equipment sitting there?
Well, as long as we're not paying for anything.
Yeah, it's a little tougher there because you don't have, an artisan's lien, which is, we always call it mechanic's lien.
Okay.
Is going to be where they put some added value, like if they were doing some kind of construction there or something with
Okay.
regard to the material they're producing, that they were laying it out or something.
Okay.
Would have some ability, but probably not on their private equipment
Okay.
that's being used.
Just asking.
Yeah, there is a way to do it though, and that's why I was pausing originally. If we had the judgment, then you bet all of that is fair game.
Okay.
Would be in any kind of trouble if we were to elude that. If this doesn't get done in a timely fashion, we may bring in another source.
No, you can do that.
Because it's already passed.
Your breach here is fair to timely perform. And I get it, he's got equipment problems and everything else, but when you do that for a living and you know that you're grinding concrete, you know that you're gonna have those kinds of issues potentially. He's just had a rough row.
Well, and honestly, we've had the discussion, you know, what could you do differently that would help? Do we need to bring in another outfit or whatever else that would be all on him? But he's not getting there.
Yeah.
It may get to the point to where it would be cheaper for him to get somebody else in there to get the job done, and still be able to complete all of his work.
Yeah.
Again, we have.
If it gets to be enough of a concern, Bryce obviously was watching it, we could draw, you know, kind of a notice letter to him and just say, you gotta get it done within, or, you know, unless there's good cause shown, like
Yeah.
the world ends, or something, within this time frame, where we will consider it to be
Well,
in breach.
we're already past April 1st.
We're already there, yeah. That's my point. I mean, you're probably, you're gonna wanna do it fairly soon, otherwise you've waived it, so.
Yeah, I think we need-
But my point to that point would be that these people here bid this in relationship to the winter and looking for work in this rock crushing deal. And so they may move on, just like, they probably got other stuff waiting, just, so we go out and we look for somebody else to do it. There may not be nobody else out there wanting to do it right now
Not
until
till next winter.
next winter.
That, and we're looking at increased cost.
Mhm.
Almost definitely, because anytime in the contracting world, you go out to rebid stuff, more than likely the cost will go up.
And everything in the last 3 months in
Oh, yeah.
any kind of construction setting is dropped.
So it would be in our favor to, if we were going to approve this, we should basically call it, to get an agreement that says it'll be on you to get it done by a certain amount of time, and if you don't, you're gonna have to pay the differences for us to come.
Yeah, and consider it a form of, we have to be careful how we word that, but yes, that is doable, and we'll call it liquidated damages, but it's a form of
Well,
Because we're
demonstrable
It's
damage.
not just because we're trying to be mean, it's just, there's another entity
Exactly,
involved, and
yeah.
there's a lease, and there's.
Yeah, well, and honestly, I have no problem with that, and I don't really think he would. He's just trying to, you know, get something coming back in, but, I can sure, I was planning on heading back up there this afternoon. If he's there, I wanna talk to him, because honestly, I'm kinda getting concerned too, you know, as far as that goes. So, those are things that we can address, or just say, okay, and like you said, in lieu of us giving, or in response to you giving us money, we want this done by X amount of time. That's it. If you need to hire somebody else out, or whatever you need to do.
And your approval for authorization of those funds is contingent upon that agreement being
Yes.
reached.
Right,
and
that
executed.
should be done hand in hand.
Yeah, so that we're not handing off a check and going, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
And that never works out well for us.
And that's,
So-
again, I have no problem with doing that. Honestly, I think that's probably the thing.
Now, he's asked for 25,000, correct?
Yes.
25.5, so what happens if you cut it back to 20,000?
Whatever that case may be.
He'd probably be happy.
I just figured if you squared up with the product done, there's nothing there against us, there's nothing there against him, this is almost like a new start from here.
Starting over again.
Well, let me talk to him, get this thing rolling. I'll obviously confer with Brad to make sure that we cover all the legality stuff to that effect. And if and when we get to that determination, if it's gonna be 20, 25, whatever the amount is, that would be just a matter of putting that into the agreement and
Well, if he's needing money, probably they need to do it quickly.
Yeah.
Because
well,
otherwise,
but again, if we're
ourselves.
gonna give him money, we're gonna want some.
You wanna notice him at the same
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Bryce, if you talk, and that's, you know far more with him what you're doing than I would at this point, but if you need for me to attend in terms of an actual agreement, so that we're sitting there drawing it up, let me know.
I don't think that'll be a problem. I just need to basically I'll have to talk to him about, say, hey, this is what's going on, if you're not interested, then
Yeah.
we've got other issues.
Yep,
But,
then we need to talk at a different level.
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Commission, your call here, what would you like to have done?
I'd like to pay contingent on getting some sort of hard line.
Okay.
And
That they're contemporaneously
liquidated
exchanged.
damages or to get somebody else.
Just kind of write that down, that's an engineering term.
Oh, it is.
It's not emotional.
Okay, okay.
I mean, if you want to
Is
wait.
that a good goal for Commissioner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me discuss with him. We'll try to come up with something in consensus with Brad and make sure everybody's covered, so. Okay? Lastly, I did get the cost share submitted last week. After talking with a couple people in the industry, we all kind of agreed that we think the best thing to do is to go with a 3-inch overlay, to do 2 1.5 lifts. Looking all the areas out there, that's what we think will be the best for us. We have a tremendous amount of water in the base. I don't know what's going on.
I can't even hear you.
So anyway, based on that submittal, that come up about $2.8 million, which also included a rock edge wedge to put down there after we're done. Those areas, before we would go over them, we'd go dig them out and see if we can figure out what the problem is, if there's water coming up, maybe do a French drain or whatever. We're definitely gonna have to patch them. The other downfall to this too was going to a cost share. With the whole process of going through that, I don't know whether, with KDOT involved, whether we'll be able to get it wet this year. That's the other thing that we're gonna have to look at, is because obviously, if we don't get it wet this year, we could have a lot worse next year. But regardless, that's what I submitted it for, was the $2.8 million. Now,
This is Indigo, right?
Indigo, yes, 11.5 miles from the south city limits of Hillsborough down to the Harvey-Marion County line.
2.8.
Yep. Now, we turned this in at 10%, which obviously would be $280,000. Is there any more commission decision or discussion whether you'd want to go back and revise that to make the pot sweeter? Again, when we did Nighthawk, we ended up going to 35%, which I think helped tremendously. It's just like anything else; they only have just so much pot of money, and again,
Basically, if we're willing to step up more, we're more attractive to the.
yes, yes. Now, if you want to leave it at 10%, that's fine. The other thing that by driving it and spending quite a bit of time looking out there, the biggest worrisome part that I see is about 120 and south. So that if we find out from KDOT that we don't get the project, maybe there's something that we could do, if you want to say short term, just to maybe put a 2-inch overlay on the south portion, which obviously is going to help more than So, but anyway, that's where we are as far as the submittal. They said, I think they said mid-June before we would hear. So by the time you get that turned around, that's gonna be a pretty quick project to try to finish off. Because asphalt contractors are busy and we'd be at the very end. But anyway, if you guys wanna leave it 10%, I have no problem with that. I just wanted to bring it up.
What are we, capital improvement gonna be at balance-wise after the Nighthawk?
Yeah, 'cause
Where
we have budgeted for it.
How are we dipping in?
Well,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. I'd have to check that out. I mean, I think you should be fine in there. Because you're only, so far, of course, there's lots of different parts and pieces and different projects coming, and I'm not sure exactly when they're all coming. So I'm trying, like I said, I made a list, but,
I was thinking we were at like 5 million or something, weren't we?
Right.
Somewhere around
Then
there.
how many damages have we put on it, I guess is what.
Damages it was,
Well,
I'll have
yeah.
to, let me get back with you on that next
Yeah.
meeting, but,
just to make sure.
I mean, I think you're in
What's
okay
30%
shape
of
with it.
that?
If we sweeten the pot, how soon do we need to?
Well, I'm guessing, the last thing I was gonna talk about was letters of
Right,
support. I think if we got those back in the next week or two, I really don't see them really meeting until several weeks from now. But obviously, you never know. I don't know how many people they have together. I'm guessing they have construction maintenance, they have planning, they have materials and research, all have one person come together to make a decision. Don't know when that is, they just said that it would be probably June before we would hear.
Okay,
So-
that 2.8 is just for overlay, correct?
Yes, well, overlay and the
And the edging.
Now, another thing which won't affect too much, I actually submitted the 130th in Indigo where those mailboxes were, under that high-risk rural roads. If we get that, that would basically come out of this project. So we'd have to modify that cost-wise, it would be less. But again, we won't know about that till probably mid-May. So,
Commission, I don't think we stand a chance of 10%. Now, my question to Bryce would be, that the 3-inch overlay, what are we looking at to get out of that? And then we got a cost to go out and patch all those
right.
and French drain it. So I don't know what kind of cost you'd be looking at, but it surely be a couple $100,000.
I wouldn't think it'd be that much, but it all depends on when we get out there, how many spots there are, how
Yeah.
many we choose to do, and how much we have to do. But,
Okay.
You have to blade patch all that.
mhm. When we're done. Well, and like, so a lot of it's gonna be just to figure out some of those areas, dig them out, see what's down there. I mean, I can't imagine that we wouldn't have to take out more than a couple inches, because we really wouldn't make it much better than the rest of it that's already out there.
Yeah, I just looked at 30% of 2.8, that's 840,000 our share.
And then, of course, you throw in the other thing is how far does capital outlay go for the rest of the roads too, down the road, but anyway.
And we can't throw everything we've got in it.
How about a 25%?
Somewhere in there.
I was thinking between 20 and 30.
Okay.
I mean, at least increase the odds.
I again, just my personal belief, I think it would, but again, I don't know just due to the value of the project, whether we'd have a chance with any of it, because they're gonna, like I said, they're looking for.
It's still 700,000.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been, I hate to jinx this, but we've been very fortunate with the awards that we've got in the last year or so, but.
Okay, so then we come back, if we do that, and we know that road's probably gonna be our next one to address. But then we got some other blacktops probably around all over the county that's gonna need a little something or another at some time. But if this 3-inch overlay buys you 5 to 8 years.
I honestly think we'd probably be looking more towards the 10 to 15. Now, I base that on the fact is we did 90th west of K-15 last year. we did basically very little patchwork ahead of time there. It was pretty soft, you know, the trucks were pumping. And all things considered, it's held up very well for a 2-inch overlay basically on very level of base.
I've seen a lot of 2-inch overlays gone in 5 years.
Well, and honestly, we could speculate, but
With the kind of problems that I see on Indigo.
yeah, and that's the whole thing is
So this spending this anything that high is a lot of money, but what is there anything that could be done to get 20 to 25 without just going extremely over?
yes. The 20 to 25 requires a full base.
Full depth.
Full depth. And see, that's the thing is even if you want to do the full depth reclamation in here like we're doing on Nighthawk, you'd have to go back with probably, I hate to even guess, 5 inches asphalt. Simply because now you're basically laying on dirt for the most part. I mean, you're gonna have better material here than what we have there, but. So
With concrete and fly ash and all that kind of stuff in the full depth.
probably, you know, I mean, obviously, the best thing to do with that road would be go back and put concrete on it, but.
You start putting 100,000-pound implements on it, that's just gonna destroy the concrete too.
Well, you could do several things. I mean, it's, you can do an overlay, you could go back, say if you really wanted to do it right, tear it all up, redo the base, put in a base, yeah, anyway, but you're pushing 10 million plus probably to do that.
To get that many.
Yeah, and plus, you're now gonna put that kind of money in that road, and then you've got everything else to worry about too, so. You know, the other option is, like we've talked about, is, you know, if we, looking at the cost of everything, I mean, the price a ton is asphalt, go back and just do a 2-inch overlay. We wouldn't get as much life expectancy out of it, but it's gonna be better than what we're looking at now. But anyway, main thing comes down to.
Anyway, we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, but I just, you know, the main thing is if.
Putting a patch on it, kicking the can down.
Well,
I hate that, because it's just,
Yeah.
it's always creeping up, the same problem keeps circling back around.
But, like I said, that, you know, if you wanna leave it like it is, great, but I mean, if we wanted to adjust that percentage, I think time is of the essence to do that, but. And, you know, honestly, the other thing to think about is if you really wanted to, I think would be okay waiting till next week, if we wanted to, because we can get these letters of support out. Did I get you a copy of that, Tina?
Of what?
The printout of that submittal?
No,
Okay.
you sent me something, but it wasn't that.
Okay.
I don't know. There was nothing
They
attached to
went
it.
to a new process. They used to have to just fill out the form and you could print it out. Well, now this was all done PDF online, and so, but anyway.
how much are we transferring in this year? We're gonna make our 3 transfers in, aren't
I hope so.
we? Yeah. So.
I mean, I can give you a full overview of the capital improvement fund next week. I
Yeah,
just didn't
that's
have
fine.
that today,
I'm just
and I
saying,
don't wanna guess.
Just
3 transfers, maybe up to 700,000, somewhere up in there, at 200 and some piece, or maybe 600, $500,000, somewhere in there, we'll transfer in this year. So if you spend this year's transfers in, you know, that would be come close to your 25%, Dave, that you're talking about.
I still like the idea of 2 1.5-inch overlay. I think that'll buy us the 12 years. Then during that time, we can work on other priorities. That is the highest traveled road. We need to attack that. We just can't afford the full project on that one. We've got
Right.
so many
To
other
tear it up
priorities.
and
Yeah.
grind
We've
it and all
got
that.
so many other priorities out there we've got to attack.
Well, in order to maybe just to satisfy some of these questions, why don't we wait till next week and Tina gives you an idea of where we're sitting at with that. I think we'll still be okay with KDOT, because it's gonna be, I'm sure, several weeks before they meet, so we can still have that.
And we'll get
option.
after our letters of support.
Yep. If that works for you.
Just throw a hypothetical out there, is a 4.6.5 million at 15%, which sets out the same 700,000. Just talking about spending the same amount of money from the county. Can we get something with longer longevity by upping our chances from 10% to something, but getting a bigger dollar amount at the end?
Is it too late though to change the amount of what we're applying for as far as overall project cost?
Probably yes.
Okay.
That's kind of their guidelines, but
Yeah, just to
because
share.
what they're doing is, okay, we've got X million to divvy up, and we've got all these people that want that money. So now they,
Okay.
Yeah, I think we
Well,
would have had
just-
to have that last week, Jonah,
Yeah.
I believe.
All right, well, I just
yeah.
thinking,
You can't change plans.
spending the
Well,
same amount of
now-
money and getting more.
Well, now here's the other thing: is if you wanted to do that, we could do this project and turn around next year, or do something down. I mean, who knows? You know. But anyway, I think we just, I say, table this until you can find out more about that, do some more thought on it. But at least it's been submitted and it's in there. So I will update you too as far as the Nighthawk and 330th rebuild. Kind of explains what's going on. 330th has some terrible base problems. The fact is, we may have to go back and actually put in some aggregate while we do this process of the cement. So we're looking at some sort of extra cost. We don't know for sure, but based on what we're doing, just by adding the cement at there was very little difference between adding 4 to 6% cement, simply because of how sandy it was. So we're looking at that, but we were gonna go back and use the crushed concrete that we have to do that. So we wouldn't have a substantial amount, but that's something we're looking at. And the design on Nighthawk looks to do better at 6% than it did at 4%. So we're looking at a little extra, but we, the part between 190th and 200, or Highway 56 actually was the strongest pavement out of all of them. And so based on trying to make as much uniform as we can, as we're actually going to talk about going in there removing about 4 inches of asphalt right ahead of doing this process. So the county would get the millings for that. We would get the same homogeneous material all the way through there. That's kind of interesting. That mile there wasn't structural. So anyway, things kind of fluid there too, but you know, obviously, if we're going to do this, we need to do it the right way as best as we can. So, but I will keep you updated when we find out more information. So.
You're gonna go in where?
On 330th east of Tampa,
Yeah.
the full depth recommendation. There's not enough bigger materials and stuff on there as the base that there was basically no increase between 4 and 6%, and the strengths were about 2/3 of what we wanted to get. Now we do have a little bit of flexibility, but if it's only 2/3 of 300 psi, we were looking at about 210. The recommendation was to go back and put some more aggregate in there to bring that strength up.
Where did you say you was gonna mill some though? On 330?
On Nighthawk,
Well, no,
from 190th up to
190th,
56 by
okay.
Canada.
Okay.
That stretch there. So we would get the benefit of that. We had talked from originally at the pre-con, their plan was to do 330th first. So when they're done, they'll come down to Nighthawk and then they can get that sealed while they're waiting. So, but anyway, I will keep you informed of changes there. But unfortunately, that's like I said, we've got to do it right if we're going to do it, and that's
I'm
what
comparing
happens.
60th to 330th, just about the same base is what I'm thinking. I don't know.
I don't know. So, but anyway, so that's all I have, and it's overtime. Unless you have anything else.
Just appreciate you
Yeah.
realizing that if you're gonna spend money, let's do it right.
Well, trying to. I mean, it's where, like you said, where do you put your money to make it work? But
Right.
if we don't fix these roads at the bottom, then so.
We're
All right.
gonna have access to a patching crew this year.
We're gonna make a patching crew and a chip seal crew of what we have. I have put out job requests at the high schools, at the college. We always have them trying to get people in person, trying to get people to come in. No luck yet, but we're gonna make it work with what we have. I mean, we have to. Unfortunately, we got to pull guys off the culvert crew or whatever else to
Some
make
of
it
these
work.
roads in the last 30 days have really deteriorated.
Yep, the water's coming out of that base, and when we had that hard freeze, it went a long way down. And I think that's where most of this is coming at Indigo too. It's coming out of Grand. If you drive there on early morning, you can actually see the water there. So
You got a bunch fighting you. seems to be more and more potholes showing up out of nowhere, so.
I can't snap my fingers to get rid of them yet.
I know.
Keep working on this. All right, with it, nothing else? All right, thanks.
Planning and zoning, environmental health, Sharon Olmsted.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Sharon. What do you have for us today?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I just have a couple of items. Okay.
Are you still there?
Something exploded.
Yeah, something made its way.
Are you still there?
Yeah, there we go.
Hello? You're floating in and out.
Yeah, she's
She's not here. She has.
She said,
yeah.
Okay, sorry
Can you
about
hear
that.
us,
Can you hear
Sharon?
me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bear with me, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Okay, I just have a couple of items today. The first one being the Planning Commission did not meet last month due to a lack of agenda items. The next thing is we have 3 C&D reduction plan applications that were approved. One for the Strasburg Baptist Church at 2249 Pawnee. The parsonage was torn down there for a total of 7.32 tons. The county forgave $253 of that expense. The second application is at 18 Rock Road out at the county lake. A dilapidated house was removed for a total of 11.33 tons. And the county forgave $396.55 of that expense. And then the third application was for a house on North Elm Street in Peabody that was destroyed by fire. The total tonnage was 27.25. The county allows 25 tons at that reduced rate, which would make the county's total $875 forgiven on that one. So to date in 2021, we've had 3 applications for that program.
Good deal.
Okay, can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yes, they can. I had them
Yep.
muted so that we wouldn't have an echo for you, Sharon.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then the last item of business that I have is that I would like to request a variance from KDHE from doing quarterly methane monitoring reports at our closed landfill out on Pawnee Road. So maybe requesting that we only do those twice a year. It just takes, time and equipment and things. We haven't had a methane level present at that landfill since we began doing methane monitoring, which was probably 20 years ago. And we do that reporting every 3 months currently. I think that twice a year or even possibly once a year would be sufficient. So unless you have any comments on any of those items or any questions for me, that's all I have today.
Is Jack Chappelle with you on that, requesting that?
That would be Quentin Hett, the KDHE Bureau of Waste Management over in I believe it's the Solid Waste Division. And he
Are you still
didn't
working with
see it.
Jack or anything on any of this, or this is all by you?
I don't believe that request would necessarily have to go through Jack.
Okay.
We did have some emails exchanged. I'd have to look and see if Quentin added Jack into that, but I did not see any concern on it. We haven't made a formal request to do that, but no one really had any issues with it.
Okay. Good enough. I just checked and make sure if he was on board with us or whether, I don't know what he's working with us right now, what his contract states or anything like that. We haven't talked to him for quite a while. Have you seen him in here since you've been Jack Chappelle?
It's been over a year, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, we made some adjustments to that plan that had to do with the groundwater sampling.
Okay,
I believe they were able to reduce it by one well, so we no longer test one of the wells, we just test the other, I believe it's the other 3 or 4.
Okay. That's what you have for us today, so do we need to make any motion or anything towards, or help her on that request?
Sharon, this is Brad. On the request for that reduction in the methane monitoring, that's all done internally at this point? You've not had any kind of indication from KDHE about a minimum standard?
That's correct. I asked what that variance process would consist of and was informed that there's really no official format for that I could email and make that request. And given the reasoning that I presented to you for that request.
Well, it's good that they've got a good structure.
So would it just a consensus of the
Yeah.
board to allow her to move forward?
To move forward, that's why I was
It's
asking.
worth trying, I think.
Wouldn't
So,
require a motion.
everybody on board?
I'm good with it.
Okay. Sharon, sounds like you have us behind you, so proceed with it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's it?
Okay, that's all I have.
All righty, thank you, Sharon. Any
Thank you.
questions by the commission?
No?
Okay.
Sharon, will you be available based on what we discussed? I'll bring that up later.
Yes, give me a call on my cell phone if you need to talk with me about those issues.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Park and Lake Department, Isaac Heff.
Yeah, you all had asked that he bring a breakdown of what that proposed budget might look like for the bait shop, so that's why I put that on today.
I'm gonna take one of those and pass it down. And I have another one. I think there should be 7 there.
Are you sure?
I think I have it memorized.
No, you don't.
Okay, so I guess I'll just start at the top here. I did have our electrical checked out last week. I haven't actually got anything back yet. It sounded like, as far as all of the outlets and the switches in the wall were fine. There are issues in the ceiling and with our lights. With sounds of it, from the brief conversation I had when the guys finished up there last week, they're probably gonna, and I don't know this for a fact, it sounded like they're gonna recommend us pretty much rewiring all the lights in the ceiling and get new lighting in the office. The price that I put down there is just a wild guess for me. I really don't know what that's gonna be until I hear back on that. But that's what, pretty much everything checked out as far as the outlets, the wall. It was really the ceiling where we had issues. It sounded like there was just a bunch of extra wiring up there. All the boxes on the lights were open, which they said was a concern. And the light fixtures themselves that are in there are so old, they said that you might as well just replace them if you're gonna do this.
Going to anyway.
Yeah, well, and that's it. We've been looking into doing that before this whole thing was brought up. Anyway, after that, kind of just broke it down by categories. I know, like for the the grocery section down in the middle, I ended up talking to Greg, and after I'd been working on this, he brought me a list. It seems like that price at 2,000 is going to be significantly lower. Pretty much everything on there, he gave me quantities and itemized prices. It's going to be more like $1,000. So I was a little off on the price there. I got that yesterday. Bait, talked to Last Chance Bait out there at the reservoir and a couple other bait shops. Everybody around here seems to get their bait from Bill's Outdoor in McPherson. So I called up there and I talked to them. Pretty much the way that system works is every Tuesday they would come. They only take orders by fax, so that's something I have to figure out, because I don't think I've never sent a fax. I don't think I have the capability of doing that with what I have in the office, so that's something that I'm probably.
You got a scanner, right?
I do have a scanner, yes.
Yeah, you can get an online application.
You sent him a Casey.
Well, and I know that I've done it in the courthouse here, because we actually have to fax over that CFAP report that we give to the state, which I do through the courthouse here. I'd prefer not to have to come in here every time to do that, but that's something as far as what it would take for me to be able to fax in the office. I didn't look into that, but that is, they said if we could get a fax over by Monday by noon, they could get that on that order for Tuesday. And every Tuesday they come through the area, whether we have an order or not. On there, pretty much I was just thinking, starting out small, large minnows, goldfish, and perch, and we would stop there as far as live bait goes to start off. That was my idea. We have room for more in there, but this would be your basic things that are going to sell a lot of. Lake items, we just have some basic boating items there, life jackets, boat plugs, fire extinguisher, things that the state require to be on boats. That way, if people forget something or need something, they could possibly get it there with us. I put down on the bottom there, and you'll see there's a question mark on it. I put Marion County Lake gear. I don't know if we want to possibly get some t-shirts or hats or something. Could use those advertising. That's definitely optional. Under that, we have the part-time employee. That's something that $3,500, that would be for the year around there, and that's also something that a little more details would have to be worked out. But it is an expense that we would have if we went that route. And then just other startup costs and hooks, which I do have a lot of hooks from the old shop that are still in the back of the office there that we could utilize. The big one for me was really the point of sale system, and that's something I'd probably have to get with you, work something out here.
Have you looked at a vendor yet, or do you have any information from any vendors?
I've looked at a couple. Square was one of them, and there was a couple other. It sounds like they're all very similar. I know Square, they actually have a free inventory retail system, but with the free system, you don't get a lot of perks as their premium. If you go with the premium Square, it's $60 a month to run, which I think our credit card reader right now, they take, I think it's like $56.85 on average a month out. But with that, we would have to get an iPad or some type of new machine there to run those credit cards. And so I put that down. A lot of those systems, if you run them like that, they'll have a free version. If you just want to do basic sales, or if you want to get into inventory tracking and all of that stuff, there's an upgrade. And depending on what you went with, it was anywhere from about $45 to $75. I looked at 3 different systems with that. And I put on the bottom here, really for the first year of us doing this, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things that we realize, okay, this just doesn't really sell in here. So we'll probably do a lot of inventory swapping the first year, depending on feedback from the people that stop in and what they want to see, you know, things that they don't want to buy. I did check on propane. This was a big one. It's highlighted, I think, on some of them. With the propane, there is no initial charge. They bring you out a case, a box, they stock it. Their fee's $15. $15 per every bottle sold is what they make. You can charge whatever you want to for those bottles. So let's say you charge $25 per bottle. They would come around end of the month, for every bottle you sold, you'd pay them the $15. That would be their invoice.
Who owns the bottle?
Say that again?
Who owns the bottle?
The company or the ones that I talked to are at the co-op here. That's where that would be coming from.
Well, that's usually just an exchange though.
Yes.
You would own your own
Well, it
bottle.
costs you $40
So-
to exchange the
So
bottle.
you probably have to charge them more for a fresh bottle if they didn't have an exchange, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's something you'll have to work out.
Yes.
Either way, it's no cost to us.
Yes.
Good money maker.
Yes. And I talked to Napa about the batteries. It sounds like they would run a very similar system. He said that he was going to look at a couple different vendor options, displays, and get back with me. I hadn't heard, but he said from what they've done and from certain programs that they've looked at, that's how it would be ran. They would set everything up, bring everything out there for every battery sold. There'd be a cost that would go to them, and then we could charge whatever we wanted to charge from then on.
Isaac, didn't he tell you that it included a charger?
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about those batteries is the display rack actually would be a trickle charger. So if somebody did come in and buy a battery, it'd be charged and ready to go. So they wouldn't be buying a dead battery that they'd have to go and charge. So that, I mean, there's a little plus there, and those displays and everything would be something that they provided. But yeah, it's not exact, but I think it's pretty close to where we would be. It gives you an idea, at least, of what we're all looking at for things to be stocked in there, along with a rough estimate of the prices there. Yeah.
You proceed as basically, I'm gonna throw it out there, 75% is all done with local vendors of some sort.
Yes. Yeah. Really, the only thing that I had trouble finding for local vendors is fishing tackle and the bait. Pretty much everything outside of there, I think we can keep the majority of it local. It might be even higher than 75. But there are certain things that
Just like to keep a goal up there that
Okay.
we're using locals
yeah,
as much as
absolutely
possible.
So you could be in business for less than $10,000 probably. The first
Yeah.
initial round.
Yeah.
As far as startup.
Yeah.
Starter, yes.
The rest of the year, it's gonna go up.
Well, you're gonna sell and replace it then.
Yeah.
Time you get done with electrical, you're probably gonna be closer to 15.
Well, and that was something that I put up there, and like I said, I could be off on that number. It could be a lot lower. It could be a lot higher. I don't know, and I won't know, I guess, until I hear back on that. But it sounded like that somewhere within that figure is what we're going to be looking at.
Kent, if I could throw the argument out, I don't believe the electrical ought to be on the bait shop budget. That's something that should be done regardless. So that's an expenditure that, in my opinion, is separate from it's on here because it needs to be done, but anyway, but I do think the budget that we're asking for covers that, so.
The only thing it don't cover is electrical for the units to run, because when the bait shop's running, the electrical bill's up. I'll
Yeah.
guarantee you. I mean,
You're
it's-
correct, you're correct.
It's,
But that'll come out of the sales. The margin on the sales will help cover
well,
the electrical.
some of it will be, but I don't think all of it should be. I mean,
Yeah, all the, yeah.
It should self-support.
some sort of,
Well, it's gonna depend on how that's set up with the meter. I don't know how that's set up at the
How
moment.
many meters you got?
I mean, I think it's,
It doesn't.
yeah,
you don't
we'd have
want
to
a
look at
separate
that.
meter.
You can see what your average
We can probably-
average kilowatt usage till now, and then what it increases to.
Right, we could figure out and charge back to the shop a certain amount based on what we think it would be.
And then are we looking at 6 months out of the year? Are we looking at, are we?
Well, and you know, that's it. I mean, it's not hard to figure out that when it comes to the sales of this stuff, it's gonna be April, gonna be pretty much the start of, then you're gonna have May, June, July, August, busy, and then September times, after Labor Day, I mean, things die down pretty quickly.
Both of the last people that was there for quite a while cuts clear back after that.
Yeah.
Last holiday,
Well,
it cuts clear back to where you have very little on the shelves and just your bare minimum of stuff.
Yep.
And then if provided we get the heated dock going, why, then that's the other thing that will draw some fishermen through the year.
Yeah, through the off
season.
season, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, I'd assume during the winter, you're probably not gonna have near as many stuff, or near as much stuff that you're gonna have during the summer.
Right.
Now, I mean, probably just won't stock as much. I mean, I plan on being open probably year round. You know, like you said, especially if the heated dock's there, I know minnows and stuff like that will sell throughout the winter. But yeah, the sales there, you're probably, I mean, without doing it for a year, it's hard to say, but I'd say probably at least 70%, if not more, are gonna be through the 5 months of the summer.
Then there's gonna be 5 different commissioners sitting up here maybe sometime when the bad day hits. So how are we gonna leave this down the road that this commission takes charge of this? Because that was quite a deal when we tried doing away with it, trying to find a new, you may leave when a new person comes in. There's quite a few things that goes on. It looks all pretty and fun right here, sitting here doing this, but it becomes a tougher issue when things happen. The Dale leaves, Tootsie leaves. What do you do for the next person? How far do we go? I just think there's some thoughts here that the commission needs to decide where they want to be with it for the future commissioners.
This be part of the job description in the future.
Getting right back where it's tough. I'll guarantee you that's tough. It's, if you wanna make it fair to where this person's paid fair out there for doing their work, and when you include this stuff here, it becomes a problem. It has in the last 3 times or 4 times that we've tried doing this, so.
That's because you had a separate deal.
I don't think I'm taking Dave as saying that it's part of the job description that he would manage it, not that he would profit off of it. Which is a total different.
It's a whole different.
But
County's profit.
it adds to your job description, it adds to different things you do, and then when we're trying to do fair things with all of our employees, why? Because we have employees coming, department heads that come and tell us, well, I do this, I do that, so I need more money. So that's what I'm saying. When we do this, it becomes, that's where we get into some of the finer lines here, and I can speak from experience. So it's something that we need to look at so that we make it fair for the department that runs the job out there. So that's all I care. We can do that and do it fairly, then I have no problem with it. But just to add it on is, I don't think it's the right way to go.
I mean, I guess I feel that we need to give them approval to do it, to get started today. Because,
We're 45
May's-
days out.
Yeah. It's not gonna happen next week.
I would make a motion not to exceed $15,000, excluding the electrical.
Okay, excluding electrical. Good. I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Jonah to not to exceed 15,000, excluding the electrical, and second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor of that, or any other discussion before this? And that's just to get this started.
Yeah, that's letting somebody else down the way approve the electrical, because it's
Right.
not figured in.
All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say that. Unanimous, 5 of them.
You do have a public comment about this. Do you want it now, or do you want to wait till public comment time?
You want to take it now, Commission? Public comment, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's not a private business.
Brian Jones, he says, can someone explain why the county is starting a private business for profit with tax dollars? And this makes no sense and seems absolutely absurd.
Well, and that was the question that was hanging over our heads all this time. Should we not be involved in this? You can bring it out that we're the county lake and it's always been that way, blah, blah, blah. But right there is the question by a lot of people that's popped up through the years. So I guess.
No, I would answer that back by, we're providing more service to the public who comes out to enjoy all that. It's not, I mean, we got to turn a profit to keep it existing. We're not getting rich off of it. We're not going to build a new lake office with the profit. We're going to provide service for the people who do come out to the lake and come to Marion County for the weekend.
I think there was intentions, at least it was mine, that any profits would first and foremost be looked at the lake improvements as going back into the lake.
It goes back in Isaac's budget.
Well,
Well, it can be used for,
whole
picnic tables.
And
or
actually,
whatever.
it would be required to, because as a taxing entity, you cannot have a private business. This is not, so it would be a publicly run
Be separate books.
store, but everything would have to go back into the property.
Yeah.
And
That's our-
to that end, it will be a not-for-profit. There is-
Right.
Yeah.
There's
We're
no
not
pri-
gonna
that's
put
not-
anything back
Mueller,
in
you
general
guys still have
fund.
questions? Still have comments?
Well, I was just gonna respond to two. This is an economic development. It's to benefit the lakes, to benefit the residents. It's going to really benefit taxpayers in Marion County. It's one of our goals to enhance assets in the county. And I think that the people who step forward have come up with a good plan, addressing some of the concerns that have been raised in the past. I think by turning it over to Isaac now to run with it, I think it's going to enhance the lake, the experience. It's going to be an asset.
Randy?
Yeah.
Can I add, we're not alone in doing this. There's 5 other entities in the exact same position that are doing this. It's not like we're some rogue, business
Right.
that's out there. And I agree, it's a service. It's a tourist enhancement.
It's an amenity.
I'm sorry, can you tell me your name again?
Byron Lang. Can I make up a name?
There you go.
You wouldn't be the first.
My cell phone number.
Believe me, I know all the things that's happened. It's created a lot of good things. It's brought a lot of people to Marion County. I'm not going to deny that one bit.
Well, our hope would also be that the people that are coming in from out of county would also be doing business at other businesses.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Exactly.
Isaac, as you build that, get a hold of me, because there's a couple of things that we're gonna have to do with all that legal stuff.
Okay.
To deal with several of the issues.
Okay.
I have a question too. This may not be the right place or time, but have you done any investigating or as far as figuring out what your bait license needs to be?
Yes.
And what the process is?
Yes.
So I have actually, the Bill's Outdoors, they kind of helped me with this. It's super easy. I already got the permit or the application printed off here, and I can send this over to you, or you can have this, Tina.
I mean, it might just be good for us to just meet and get to work together
Okay,
on some
yeah,
of these things.
definitely.
Okay.
It's $56.50, $56.50 to apply. By the sound of it, they approve it. Your biggest problem with it is the wait time to get it back a lot of the times. Talking to the state, the main reason for having this is just so they can keep track of who is selling bait within the state. It's nothing but business information, location, what you plan on selling. And like they told me from Bill's Outdoor, they said you fill it out, send it in, and they said the thing is you just don't know when you're gonna get it back. Sometimes it's 3 days later, sometimes it's 12 weeks later. They said that you can kind of put an urgent thing on there, and that might speed it up a little bit, but it is $56.50 to apply. You can get that right online on the State of Kansas's website, but I do have it right here.
Okay, so you got your budget of $15,000. Now, I don't know that we've seen your budget from what we give you on your stuff that you've had, so we need to see what happened with that. And that's the whole goal, was to see whether it was profitable, whether it's non-profitable, or whatever. And then somehow, I think, you lay us out a plan that you want to show us every month, every quarterly, whatever you want to do. I think the commission will probably approve or disapprove of it then, to show how the income out, you know, I guess the balance goes. Commission, how would you?
Yeah, it'd be good to be able to track
So,
income expenses.
you're talking about like submitting a quarterly report of some
We
sort.
did, right, quarterly. But we talked about that, I don't know if you remember,
Right.
but it's the first 3 months, and we wanted quarterly.
They probably need to do it monthly, just to see if there's a big hiccup coming.
A little different too, because it's seasonal. Maybe it needs to be more regular during the seasonal part.
During seasonal.
And not non-existent during the non.
Yeah.
He does have to do sales tax quarterly, so it might be,
That'd be best
once
to-
you get to a certain point where you're comfortable with it, it would be appropriate probably for him to report quarterly when he's doing the sales tax.
So he's gonna have to do
I mean,
this
he's
to
gotta
get
do that
6.
anyway.
And then breaking in your employees of everything through the bait shop goes through. Are you gonna set up a new register and stuff? I think that's what you.
Well, and that's something that I'd like to sit down with Tina and go
Okay.
over. Because just to figure out exactly everything I have, you know, the cash register I have in there right now is from, I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't know
Right.
when. But I do think, you know, and how to figure out how I'm gonna keep everything here separate from everything else. We can do it now with the register we have, but it's a pretty old school system. And I think if we're actually gonna get everything up and running, with an actual inventory instead of just a little bit that we have out there now, I think I'm gonna have to do something different. Because the way that we're keeping track of everything right now, it's pretty old school.
Well, it's time to change.
Yeah, and so I am gonna have to come up with something there.
Randy, I think we can help him down at the office with that, because we've been looking at things. We have a store down in Wichita, and we've been looking at different platforms, and the girls have done a lot of research on, so they could probably give him some ideas.
I think it'll be open to all advice, maybe, I would say.
You have a credit card machine use credit cards out there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we do.
And you can do that off your phone. You can go down the link and do that.
So, well,
That's the easy part.
does any
Yeah,
other
just make
commission
sure.
have any other questions?
Just want to say thank you, putting it together, and thank you for bringing ideas.
Yeah.
That's a great,
Thank you,
great
guys,
list
yeah.
of
Thank you.
I will be a little negative till we see it work right. I will guarantee you that, because I've seen some other things, and I hope we can prove myself wrong.
Randy, that's necessary. All the boards I've ever worked with, that's necessary, so.
But I will tell you, from our volunteer store up in Tampa, something like this can be a real asset. You can really make a difference. So I've seen it work.
What kind of system do you have up
Use
there?
point of sale. Credit card. It's affordable. They're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those questions can be answered.
Sometimes it's more beneficial to find a point of sale that's already set up for, that's got an inventory base
Make sure.
to draw from.
They'll figure it out.
All right. Isaac, do you have any final questions?
I think that the big ones have been answered. I'm sure that there'll be more as we kind of move forward with this. But yeah, I think I got a good start here. I'm gonna have to talk with Tina and get some things planned out. But I think as far as questions go, I'm good.
Tina and Brad, do you have any questions?
You know, I kind of made a list of what I'll need to talk with them about.
Okay.
There's several things we're gonna have to follow up on, some agreements we'll have to put in place, but
Okay.
it's all very doable, so.
Byron, do you-
I have one last question of you all. What can we be done to expedite the electrical part? Because that seems to me that's the first piece of the puzzle. If they're gonna be tearing the ceiling down or working in that before Isaac can start putting stuff on the floor, that, and for liability purposes, that piece of the puzzle needs to be in place. And that needs to be expedited if he's gonna hit the ground, you know, by Memorial Day, so.
We can approve it as soon as we get
an estimate?
Yeah, just,
And do we need bids, or just an estimate for one person?
You need bid.
It's not an absolute requirement, but it's usually useful to do just to cover the county.
Who expected you to tell you all this stuff?
Elcon.
Elcon?
Wasn't me.
No, it wasn't John.
I was unaware that it took place. So.
Yeah. They pretty much because I know that I had to come back this week, and so I just called, and I called 3 different companies. 2 of them said that there's just no way they were going to be able to make it out in a week to look at it.
Okay.
And actually, when I called Elcon, the guy said it's probably not going to be this week, but they ended up showing up a couple days later. But I just haven't heard anything back on it yet. If I need to get bids, I can definitely.
Well, should we try?
I can definitely get a couple more. I just told them don't worry about it because I knew I had to come back this week, and so I just wanted to get it done so I could at least try to come with something.
Okay.
I didn't quite get there,
I can
but
give you a name of another individual too.
Okay.
If you need to get another one.
Would the board approve up to a maximum? Well, you can put it out to
We
the
need to see
public.
what.
Our purchasing policy says if it's over 1,000, then we
Yep.
should, if possible,
Yeah.
get 3,
And
try to get 2 to 3.
and I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling it's going to be. It's going
And
to
it
probably
doesn't
be
have
over
to
that.
be like super formal.
Okay.
Can we set a 10-day limit on it or something like that? Get a bid back in 10 days?
Well,
I think you could, hopefully you could have them back
Because,
by
you know,
next Monday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, let's try for 7 days.
Okay. Open it up for 7. Okay.
I'm trying to be nice. Because May's gonna be here pretty quick.
Yeah,
If only one bid's turned in, one bid's turned in, then.
I can tell by looking out my front door that the activity at the lake has picked up substantially. So,
A lot of campers last week up there.
Isaac, did you get a fairly good punch list then from Elcon?
As far as
Just everything that needs to be done?
well, and that was it. You know, I visited with them for maybe 5 to 10 minutes when they were done.
Yeah.
You know, I know as they were working, it sounded like the ceiling was our main issue. I know they went around and tested all the outlets and everything, all the switches, everything seemed to be fine there. Like they said, it shouldn't be hard because we have the drop-down tile ceilings. They said everything's really accessible. It's just old. I know there was a lot of wires up there that weren't even running to anything, just capped off. And their suggestion, pretty much like he told me, he said, you know, we'll get this put together, but what I'm going to recommend is probably just rewiring this whole thing with all new fixtures, which I kind of had a feeling would be about where we were at. You know, I wasn't sure about all the stuff in the walls. It sounded like it all checked out.
That's great.
They pretty much made it seem like our ceiling and our lighting situation was a big concern.
Generally, just based on seeing them all the time, if you can give them some kind of a general list.
Okay.
Start with, you know how many fixtures, you know how many lights,
Okay.
you know how much you want them to do. It's gonna save them a lot of time. If
A lot of
all
time.
they've got is 7
Okay.
days to get bid.
Okay.
If they can see a punch list like that, it goes a lot quicker.
I know a lot of times when they're doing that kind of wiring, they're gonna wanna replace the breaker box too.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
I know that they kind of talked about that as well.
Okay, see what we can do, and I guess if the breaker box needs it, well, I guess it needs it too. so.
They'll give you some ads too, I'm almost sure, LED versus, you know, that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah.
That's all you can get now.
Yeah.
You don't do regular fluorescent bulbs anymore.
Ah, yeah, they're still there. It's
It's just not worth it.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Isaac, thank you guys for
Thank you.
your support,
Thank you.
and
What kind
we'll
of
be
baskets
moving
are we
on.
gonna replace from the thing?
I
Thank you,
did
guys.
have something completely unrelated to
Okay.
this. I know last time I was in here, we talked about the dock briefly. I talked to Cody Nelson down here with NF Construction. He did come out and look at the dock. He's interested in it. I know that he has started putting something together as far as getting this thing going, that he said he'd show me and then we could present it to the commission. Did the commission want me to get other bids from other companies? That I was not 100% sure of.
Did he indicate what his override was?
No.
That-
He said that
That's what we need to know, and then he could just do like he's doing before.
Can you show you-
Transparency, basically what the subs cost.
Okay.
As long as we know what his override is.
Okay, I know
I thought
that
he said 8%, didn't he?
It's usually 8%.
I'm not agreeing with that.
he said, with this kind of being a new thing to him, there was a bunch of stuff he wanted to look into. He said, made it seem like it was not gonna be a problem. We went and looked at the framework we picked up from Ben. I walked him through the entire old dock, and he made it seem like he was gonna get something put together. He did say it was probably gonna be 2 weeks minimum. He said it might be up to 3, but he said he'd get started on it right away. And I guess that was kind of my question, is I wasn't sure if we just wanted to wait for that before we did anything else, or if the commission wanted me to also try to get any other outside information. And I just wanted to make sure.
Well, I don't think it's within Isaac's realm of finishing it by himself. So.
It's not in mine.
And it's not yours.
It's the wrong time of year now.
So I do think we do need someone in charge that would take the project over. Now, whether you would, with some of those other people, whether it was not insured or not, I don't know, Isaac. You know, it would have to meet our requirements. But I do believe that we do need someone in charge.
Yeah.
So, is that the general feeling of the commission? I think maybe we'll wait and see then on Cody and see what happens with that. See if we can speed it up a little bit. I mean, I know we're still fighting, probably try it. If that thing was on float by Labor Day, I'd be surprised.
Give that to
I'd love to.
It's a contact for electrical.
I'd love to. I'd
He's
love
done
to
some
see
work
it.
out there.
Yeah, he has. I know more.
So, yeah, let's continue in that direction, Isaac. I think that's
Okay.
the board's feeling right now. Unless somebody else has any other person to step up to.
Okay.
And if those other people that you know had planned, put something together, why, be interesting too. I mean, you know,
Okay.
that they'd have to, some insurance might be a problem.
Well, that's one thing my understanding is Cody could oversee it if some of the other people are interested. They
Yeah.
could be the
They could be a sub
subcontractor.
too,
underneath.
yeah.
But that gets the headache off Isaac, gets the headache
Get
off
someone
us.
out.
And it's
Yeah.
transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll sub to different,
Right.
Everything else.
and then he'll just manage it.
Maybe those names need to go to him then, Isaac, you know.
And we did talk about it.
Okay.
I did talk to Cody about it.
We're not closing anybody out.
No.
Okay.
And then my last thing is for you, Brad. We talked earlier about our storage area. It's now been, I think it's been like 45 days since I've originally contacted everybody. I've been asking everybody to try to get their property removed by the 14th. I have been able to get a hold of everybody. That being said, there are still
You said you have been able to get a hold of everybody?
I have
Okay, good.
spoken directly to everybody
Okay.
over the phone about what we're trying to do.
It's this week, is
It is. And I went ahead and we talked about those lockers and putting an ad in the newspaper. I went ahead and did that same thing for the storage area. They couldn't get it out last week, so it's gonna run this week. So we've kind of moved our date from the 14th to the 21st now, so that's a chance to run for a week.
Yep.
I guess if that stuff is still sitting there, what can we do? And the boats and stuff, there's a lot of them that I told the people, it's not a big deal. But there's a couple of campers that have been there for 5-6 years and have not moved. They haven't started, they haven't anything.
And those are the people you haven't been able to get a hold of.
No,
Oh, you
I've
did?
managed to get a
Yeah,
hold of
okay,
them all,
okay.
and they kind of said, yeah, okay, and I don't think they can get them started to move them, and I think they know that they can't get them started to move them, and so I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
On that one, this is a little different. On the storage, the campers are either, they're traceable by a VIN or we've got tags, well, old tag or whatever,
Yes,
something on
and
it.
that is how I've been
Okay.
able to track people down.
What we'll do ultimately, unless we need to get them out of there, is probably, the short form answer, just to finish it, is that we can send them a letter and say, by that date, if you haven't done it, we're gonna exercise self-help, we'll store them. Because if we know who owns them, We can't just go dispose of them without their permission. So they're gonna go to storage somewhere, whether it's on our property or somewhere else, so we're gonna fix the cost. If it's someone else, they'll fix the cost, but they're gonna want us to pay it, so I'm reluctant to do that. If we've got someplace we can put them, we kind of have to, once we've got them, we're a fiduciary, we've gotta kind of make sure they don't get damaged.
Well, and that's kind of where I've been scratching my head as far as what to do. All I really want to do is just try to organize it,
Yeah.
but I'm just having a hard time getting that stuff out of there.
Let's get down to, send me a list of what you have left.
Okay.
And when you contacted them, and if there's any of these that have said, yeah, I definitely am gonna get it out of there. So I know bottom dollar, bottom line.
Okay.
Who have we got left that's got something out there we've been able to determine owns it, but they're not likely to respond.
Okay.
So I can figure out what our exposure is.
Okay.
And whether it's worth in the aggregate going and taking it to district court, and basically replevin those, that's not really replevin, we'll take them over.
Okay.
And then we get rid of them in whatever way we can that's most expeditious.
Okay.
I'm really reluctant to do that because that's.
Can't you take and notify them though, and after 6 months or so, after a certain time frame, they become our property if they don't move them?
Not without a declaratory judgment for the district court of Marion County, Kansas.
But we
Yes,
don't wanna
that's what I'm
own
headed
them,
to.
Well,
We'll go to tax sale, right?
go to the
Yeah.
salvage yard,
though. Sorry.
go to the junkyard someplace.
I mean, sometimes it's better to sale, that way somebody else hauls it.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I'm not
a
saying
purple
that.
wave or something, it's amazing what people will pay for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
And,
it is.
and we would get that order so that we're covered. I don't want to necessarily just say, you know what, you didn't pick it up, it's ours now. That's a little tough to defend. But yeah, I get your point, and that's what we'd be doing with the letter saying, you know, if you don't do that, we will go ahead and exercise our right to gain control and, in essence, ownership over it.
Would you want me to send pictures and everything over?
If you can,
I
it's
do,
just
yeah,
easier.
I can.
I don't have much of a life, so I don't mind sitting and looking at those.
The numbers.
Give me a phone number and a picture.
Yeah, I
The
can do
numbers.
that. Yeah, I can do that.
I will probably send a letter on my letterhead yet too, saying, hey, we're serious, we need them out of here.
Okay.
Come get them. If you're not
Okay.
going to, then I'm gonna do what's next, or I'll advise. Normally what I say is more ominous. I will advise the board of their legal rights as to what we can do to dispose of the property.
And that's it for me.
Well, thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
And welcome to your new headaches. Bye now.
Better start making some orders.
I'll go back and mow grass now, huh? Do something simple.
Move some buoys.
We'll move.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you, Isaac. County Councilor Brad Jens.
A couple of executive sessions. The first one will be for personnel. Let's take that one up first. Probably at least 20 minutes. I'm gonna try to keep my portion to a half hour, which is gonna achieve further.
I don't know how you could do that, Brad.
It's not easy. I'm trying to determine on a weekly basis to keep mine to 30 minutes or less if I can.
All right, I move we recess to executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for personnel matters of non-elected personnel with the board and Brad. Does Tina need to be with us?
On this one, no, she does not.
All right, until, for 25 minutes, you said, or 20 minutes?
20.
20 minutes. Be from 2:20 to 2:40 PM, where we come, resume back here at 2:40. That's my motion.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign for no? Don't hear me. Unanimous, 5-0.
Okay, back at 2:40.
Then you
This
need to remind us.
conference will now be recorded.
Another 20 minutes total. Okay, out of executive session, no decisions. We're gonna move back into, I move that we recess back into executive session in order to discuss contract negotiations this time pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for consultation with our attorney in matters deemed privileged under our attorney-client privilege. And that will be the board and Brad, and that's it, or does Tina need to be on this?
I don't think so at the
Okay.
moment, no.
Board and Brad.
Second.
For how long?
This will be for 20 minutes. Second. Second by Jonah. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. None. 5-0.
Okay, so back at 3:01.
All righty.
So we need two more executive sessions.
Is that? Oh, yeah, that's personnel. Isn't it?
Yeah.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no decisions. We do have maybe two more, but the first one will be with, again, for contract negotiations with Brad. So I move that we recess into executive sessions in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for a consultation with our attorney in matters deemed privileged under attorney-client privilege with the board and Brad for 10 minutes.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, same, opposed, same sign. None, 5-0. So 3:03 to 3:13? No.
3:13.
Okay, back at 3:13.
I'm trying to think 15.
They put my glasses, and there's the stuff you can't see on the glasses, but it turns green as soon as your fingers touch it. I'm in court as a judge.
This
Whole
conference
faces.
will now be recorded.
Okay. Out of executive sessions, I would entertain a motion, if anybody would like to make a motion for contract with our legal counsel.
I'd make a motion to extend our legal counsel, county counselor, for a year.
For 1 year. Continues on what we've had
Previously.
Same thing.
Under the same terms and
Same
conditions.
terms and conditions, yeah.
That's second that.
Have a motion by Jonas to extend the contract to Brad Gans for legal counsel for a year. Commissioner Becker, second that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Unanimous, 5-0.
Okay. Do you have time to do the executive sessions that, one of them would be for personnel for leave requests, and then a second one for personnel performance
Yeah, got that.
review.
They can be done under one.
They need to be
So those would be separate,
They-
because they're
yeah.
separate topics.
So the first one for the leave request probably only needs to be 5 minutes.
Is that under personnel?
Yes.
Personnel performance or just personnel?
No, you're gonna, for leave request, under the non-elected personnel.
Your exception is the non-elected person.
So at the top, you'll say for leave request.
Okay, leave request. All right. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss a leave request for personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for personnel matters.
Mhm.
Yeah, for personnel matters with the board, Tina, and Brad.
That's
5
not-
minutes.
That's not elected personnel.
Right.
Non-elected personnel, yes.
And did you say a time?
5 minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Need a copy.
This conference will now be recorded.
Out of executive session, I'd make a motion to approve an FMLA leave for a qualified employee of Marion County. That would be my motion.
Second.
Is there a second by Kent? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? 5-0, unanimous. My second motion would be to make a motion for a shared leave for a qualified employee of Marion County. That is my motion.
Second.
Have a second by Jonah. All those in favor of that? I say aye. 5-0. Anybody else say no? I thought I heard 5-0. So we have those two taken care of, Tina.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, I didn't have the sound on, so I'm gonna just repeat back what your motion and everything was.
I'll start with the maths.
I apologize. Okay, so out of the executive session, Randy Dahlke moved to approve FMLA leave for a qualified employee of Marion County. Kent Becker seconded and motion carried 5-0. And then Randy Dahlke made a motion to approve a shared leave request for a qualified employee of Marion County. Joe Nagering seconded and motion carried 5-0.
And now we're back live and ready to go into the last executive session.
Yes, this would be to review evaluations.
Okay, before we do that one then, I would see if there's any public comments that anybody else has up on the board, or
There was
Okay.
one prior going in.
Yeah.
It blanks them, so Tina has to.
I have
Copy.
a copy of it, and I
Okay.
can read that for you.
okay.
Okay. So this was from Diane Novak. It said, Mr. Jones asked a very valid question about the county spending tax dollars on a for-profit business at the lake. The answer given was vague at best. Please give a answer, maybe even the legal behind this. Also, please justify why you're okay competing with an already established bait and tackle shop in Marion. I was told by a commissioner this was not the plan, but was to purchase your inventory from the in-county established bait shop. Why are you already talking to a McPherson vendor? So that was the comment.
Okay.
The McPherson vendor's bait vendor.
Yes.
And what I had said was we were gonna try to work with in-county people. And if we could combine our order status or something to get volume and help them, and help we still receive our order, but no one way was it my intention to do anything other than convenience, not to compete. So, I think that was understood in the room. I don't know if it didn't come across that way online.
Yeah, Isaac told us that this was the main vendor that everybody buys from. Correct? So I think that was for,
And if we can work together to help them, it sounded like they would do that. Just.
is there, what other part of the question do we need to answer besides that?
The reason behind it or the legal,
I've got answers.
answer given was vague as far as spending county tax dollars on for-profit business. Please give a legal answer.
Oh, it's
And
not,
why
not
are-
for profit.
We're promoting tourism.
Well, it's not for profit.
It's not there was the discussion and it became confusing, I'm sure, for
It's
someone depending on what they were.
Well, it wouldn't be a private business, it's
Right.
county run.
And as such will be a not-for-profit venture.
And any profit will go back to the lake. It will not be for
Wouldn't be profit, it'd be any revenues.
revenues.
The marginal gain on the activity will go back into a not-for-profit activity, which is governmental.
You know. But I would rather see it stated back to the county lake. You know, is that
Okay.
possible? I
Yep.
mean, that's it?
That's just a more specific version of what I was just referring to, yeah.
I want it to go to improve.
You
the
can
lake.
specify.
Lake improvements, functions, something to do with the lake.
Yes.
If you instruct your able county clerk, she will see that that occurs.
But I think that's in the motion to, you know, that we should do that somehow, some way that revenue will go back to the county lake to improve the lake. If all bills are paid.
You put any revenue above expenses.
Yes, above expenses, yes. I hope that answers the question. If not, come back up there and give us another comment. Any other public comment? We have none in the building right now, so we're going to move on then to commission comments. Any final commission comments for the day? no commission comments, I'll end up with this last executive session for review
I guess I just, with my commission comment, go back to, within the room, we did get a verbal commitment to try to get 75% bait shop commodities locally.
Okay.
And they said it's probably higher than that, just to clarify.
And we're back into executive session for personnel performance to review.
Yes,
To review
evaluations.
evaluations. So I move that we recess in executive session in order just 15 minutes probably before I get started here. Think we have plenty?
Yeah.
Move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B for personnel matters to review evaluations, employee evaluations with the board. And Brad, you gonna leave at this time or?
I'm assuming so, because I'm not typically involved in that process.
Okay.
Not that I don't want to stay.
Okay, with the board only for 15 minutes, to be from 3:30 to 3:45. That's my motion.
Second.
Second by Jonah first. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Guess we adjourn the meeting.
This conference will now be recorded.
Out of executive sessions, no decisions, and I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. I need to ask you for a second. Or say yes.
Majority rule. Majority rule.